Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Does Anthony Joshua deserve more credit? Does he deserve more respect? Because his promoter Eddie Hearn says the levels of disrespect are off the charts. He says the disrespect on this man's name is unbelievable. You people who want to say he's finished in the sport, get ready for the return of Anthony Joshua. I'm telling you, he's coming back with vengeance. Write him off at your peril. And that was Eddie Hearn talking to the DAZN boxing show. So a couple of things about those statements. There's going to be different views about Joshua and where he's at. What we've had is 2 losses on the bounce to Alexander Usyk, one of the best boxers in the heavyweight division in terms of skills and ability. Maybe not power and size and other attributes that Joshua has, but he tried to outbox the boxer and got beaten twice in a row. So Joshua's career probably is at its lowest ebb. I've seen people saying Joshua should retire after losing to Usyk, and I think that is reactionary sort of stuff. I do think that Joshua didn't disgrace himself in those 2 fights. He fought better in the second fight, but he still fought Usyk's fight in the sort of fight that Usyk was always going to win. And that was after comments 6 months earlier about sort of throwing things out the window and returning to violence and trying to bang him out of there and return of the old AJ, which we didn't see. I think a lot of the perception of Joshua after the rematch is probably also tied up in his mad rant after the fight. That's the thing that kind of took the sheen off Joshua to some extent, his performance, but also got people thinking, is the guy actually mentally right? And that's still an open question. You've got Joshua changing trainers, a new head trainer. He's got a fight coming up the 1st of April. Hasn't officially been announced, but it's expected to be Jermaine Franklin. And obviously there's going to be some sort of announcement soon. They can't hold it off too much longer, 2 months to go. And new trainer, return opponent. Eddie Hearn's previously said that if he loses, it's basically all over for him. And this is why they're picking a guy that they expect that he can beat and look good against. Someone who is not going to give him too much movement. He's durable to some extent, but he can be broken down and probably taken out by Joshua. I think that's what a lot of people will expect. And for a tune-up opponent, and it's not the worst opponent coming off 2 losses in a row, I mean, you kind of expect a confidence build. So that's what they're going with. I know some people don't like it. They think that he should be fighting much better opposition, but the reality is, 2 losses on the bounce, I think you have to cut the guy some slack. But in terms of does he need more credit? Is he being disrespected more than he should be? I think human nature, especially for sports fans, and this particularly goes to casual boxing fans, people love people who are winning. And that's a reality. Joshua has not won a fight for a couple of years now. And that's kind of where it's at. So I think if you step back and look at his broader career, yeah, he's had a good career overall. He's been pro for 10 years. He's been a unified champion a couple of times. He's got some decent wins on his resume, albeit there are some names there that were at the end of their careers. Klitschko, Pulev, Takam. But then there's other wins as well. Andy Ruiz Jr. was a good win in the rematch. Joseph Parker at the time was considered a good win. Maybe that's aging like sour milk a little bit. But at the time that he fought some of these guys, they were considered decent wins. And overall, his resume is reasonably strong. Is he the best of his generation? No. He's got a lot more to do to get into that conversation. At one point in time, he was trying to position himself as the best of his generation, but he's not quite there. He's lost twice to Usyk. He hasn't fought Tyson Fury. He hasn't fought Deontay Wilder. And there's probably a couple of other fights that we'd like to see, if possible. Joe Joyce would be one that would be interesting, but this is the thing. We'll have to see where he goes this year. The next fight really determines some of where his stock is at. I don't think you can discredit his career and say that he's done nothing and achieved nothing. I mean, some people like to say he's completely manufactured, but he's still got to get in the ring, he's got to win the fights, and he's got some good wins. And I think after he retires, maybe some of the people, his detractors, the haters, etc., will look back and go, well, actually, he was a decent heavyweight. Yeah, he was good for the sport. He brought stadium fights back to the UK. He's done this, that, and the third. And I think often with the passing of time, especially after retirement, some fighters get a little bit more sheen on their name. I know Lennox Lewis is one of those examples. Wasn't necessarily always lauded when he was fighting. But Joshua's still got a lot to do. He has to get some really good wins, I guess, to get things burning again amongst not just his fan base, but people who've left the fold, who will come back in the times of winning. And I think that's just a reality. People love winners, and when people are losing, people start sort of sloughing off a little bit. And that's just sport, the fandom, that's just how it is. It is what it is. People can make comments about those people who aren't supporting him in the tough times, but you have to be real about what he's done. He's had a good career, but he's in a slump at the moment. He has to come out of this sort of dip in his career, get a win on April the 1st, if that is Jermaine Franklin still to be locked in, and then obviously take things from there. Is he being disrespected right now? Yeah, probably a bit. There are people saying that he should retire. I think that's a little over the top. I think he's still one of the best heavyweights in the division. He's still one of those guys that you go, he's probably still in that top 5 or 6 heavyweights. And then there's a chasing pack after that. There's always more to do, and you're only judged off your last performance, and obviously the results matter. The win is the most important thing in the sport because it keeps you in the conversation for the next thing, the next big fight, the conversation with your peers, how you rank, how you would perform, and ultimately we need to see these fights against the bigger names. There's been talk of Deontay Wilder at the end of the year, Dillian Whyte fight mid-year-ish. We'll see what happens there. I'm not particularly enamored with a Dillian Whyte rematch because it looks like a cash grab for DAZN as opposed to a fight that fans are really calling for and thirsting for. Joshua knocked him out the first time. But in terms of a Wilder fight, Deontay Wilder wants it. He said Joshua isn't prepared to fight him. I'd love it, but we've had so much talk about this, I'm not holding my breath. But Joshua, he can come back. He can prove the detractors wrong. He can get a level of respect back that he's currently lost. And it's up to him. So we'll see what happens. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.